Hey everyone, so we're going to dive into Ethereum today and dive into some price targets that we're going to be looking at to decipher where and when the best times to buy Ethereum during this bear market are going to lie. So if you want to keep up to date with these altcoin videos, then please do go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That helps me out, keeps you up to date with all my weekly videos that I put out. So let's get straight into it. Now, when it comes to Ethereum, it's in quite an interesting place at the minute because Bitcoin has broken its low of January 2022 this year, but Ethereum has not yet done that. But I am not expecting that to continue. I am expecting Ethereum to bleed harder against Bitcoin because when Bitcoin typically goes down, the altcoins typically fall down harder. And although there is some relative strength to be argued here for Ethereum, you have to go with the direction of the market. And just like a lot of these coins like Luna that look strong, and there's a lot of other coins like like Matic and all these sort of things, and they're now starting to show their weaknesses. So I expect Ethereum to show the same, even though it is pretty much the second biggest crypto in the space. But if we actually just have a look at what's going to go on here, okay, we've got a similar sort of floor support, previous all-time high price to where Bitcoin was at. So I would expect this area to for sure get tested at some point. Now, I'm not sure exactly when that happens, but if we manage to break this level, then we're definitely looking at some very bigger downside targets from there. Now, we will go over some of the upside targets potentially, just in case that is to happen. But as the momentum is to the downside, okay, I do want to make you aware of the key levels below us of where you want to be buying. Now, buying up here for me is still a little bit premature. We want to see how the market generally sort of starts to bottom out and how it starts to react. But the key levels that I'm looking out for, to be honest with you, is I'm looking for Ethereum buys at anywhere between $800, okay, and $400. And I'm going to give you the reason for that, why I think that is the most likely scenario. Because the first thing to say, like I just said a moment ago, is I think Ethereum will end up dropping further than Bitcoin. That's proven in the past, okay? There's nothing there that should change. It might take a month, a few weeks, or a little bit of extra time. But the things that I'm looking at over here is we've basically got our massive order block that we broke out from somewhere in this region over here as an absolute low at about $400 to about $350, okay? So I wouldn't be surprised that should we get here, that might be like an absolute low for Ethereum. Although there are a few levels above us in terms of looking at order blocks. If we look at the 3-day, we can see some order blocks in and around here at about the $650 level to about the $450 level. So that's another level that I'm looking out for, okay? And if we bring it down to the daily time frame, we can see that just before we really started to go parabolic, as we've just got another level just over here at about $750. So like I said, this area could prove to be a very unique buying area for Ethereum. And if we have a look at Bitcoin, and we've speculated that Bitcoin is maybe going to bottom out somewhere at around that $25,000 level, $24,000 level potentially, which from now is about a 30% downside target, and from current levels that would put Ethereum at about a $1,500 Ethereum. But if we just chop over to the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, what we can see over here is we're actually holding strong at the minute, quite surprisingly. I would have expected a bigger downside move. But if we just drop this down to the weekly time frame on Ethereum, what can we see? The levels that we've spoken about before, just right over here, is going to be really, really key. And that SAT level is going to be somewhere coming in at about 0.04 sats for Ethereum, and that would represent from current price levels a minus 45 to 50% decline. And that might also correspond with not only just this weekly and monthly horizontal support level, we've got a trend line coming in hot at these levels as well. So that's there. And then we've also got this massive order block that we broke out from. So massive confluence in this zone. And if we got that 50% decline in Ethereum BTC, so let's say BTC was to drop down to about 24k, that puts us at about $1,500. And if we drop down again another 40-50% from there, where does that put us? Again, that puts us somewhere in that range of that order block at about $800 or so. Okay, so that's definitely a potential price point that I'm looking out for Ethereum. And obviously, if Bitcoin was to drop a little bit further and we went down to say like a $19,000 or a $20,000 Bitcoin, and then we dropped, you know, like further relative values of Ethereum, Bitcoin even lower, then again that puts us somewhere in and around this order block. So that's why I'm looking at that key area. And remember, we don't want to start getting too greedy if we do end up coming down here for Ethereum, okay? Because you know, the time to get greedy is basically when prices start to go lower and when things are starting to look weak and starting to capitulate, okay? And another thing that I wanted to draw your attention to is if we have a look at some of the Fibonacci extensions from current prices and we take a look at the major waves, okay? Interestingly, a 1-to-1 would put us at about $800, okay, $750, and an extension of the main wave that we saw from November down to the January lows, okay? Now, a 1.618 extension of that would put us at about $430, which is the order block that we broke out from over here, okay? And that might make some sense as well, because if for the next run we were to get some sort of diminished returns, okay, which is what I would expect in a maturing asset class, even with crypto, okay, is, you know, in the last run, if we made somewhere between in the last run, if we made somewhere between here, we made a really nice, you know, 6,000% move, and I would be looking at Ethereum to, you know, run somewhere hard up to about that 10, 15,000, maybe even $20,000 Ethereum in the next run. So if we were to get, let's just be conservative and pick somewhere in the middle here, $600 Ethereum, you know, that might put us about a 2,000, 2,500%, you know, increase for that next bull run. So that would, you know, give me some sort of diminished returns from what I would expect. So again, that's the sort of area that really makes a lot of sense to me from a price point of view. As we're about halfway through the video, if you want to follow me on this journey and you're enjoying the content and you're getting loads of value and you want to know where I'm buying and selling all my altcoins in Ethereum, okay, then please do go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel so that you can keep up to date with my journey, and hopefully you're getting some educational value too. So without further ado, let's crack on. Another thing that I wanted to draw your attention to was just, you know, the percentage drop that we got from the 786 area in the last bear market. And what happened last time was that we managed to get from the 786 a 70 to 80% decline, and maybe if we don't go down so far this time, but if we manage to get, again, because we get diminished returns to the upside on every cycle, we have to logically get some sort of diminished returns to the downside as well. And if we move maybe say a 60 to 70% move as well below the 786, that might also put us at about you know, levels that we've been speaking about. So somewhere between that $400 to $800 area, if we reach there, in my opinion, is going to be an incredible buy for Ethereum. So the sort of moves that I'd be looking for here for Ethereum to start bottoming out, right, is, you know, we potentially start to move down into challenging these lows. And similar to Bitcoin, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we either find support near these levels, okay, because this is just flat horizontal support resistance, okay, and maybe we undershoot some of these lows that we created back in June last year, and then maybe start to swing this back up and then just create lower highs, okay. This is one scenario that we're looking out for. So some sort of support at this level, okay, some sort of rally maybe to retest some of these $2,000 regions, and then maybe we make our final low and maybe we start to attack some of these order blocks, okay. And at these order blocks is where we start to form some of these bottoming patterns, which might be you know, grinding moves to the downside into bullish order block structure, and maybe that might be some sort of combination of, you know, patterns that look like reaccumulation, where we start to basically go lower but the volume starts to get a little bit weak, and And this is we're looking ahead and speculating ahead a little bit here, but this is the sort of stuff that we want to be looking out for. I don't want to preempt that we're going from straight to $2,000 straight down to these levels. There's no certainty at all, so I think laddering in and buys with where you feel comfortable. But like I said, I think this is a market to be holding spot BTC if you're going to be holding anything until we see signs of some sort of reversal. But I wouldn't be surprised for the next cycle to look something like this, and then we basically get that next spring, maybe move up into these zones and maybe come back down, and then basically off to the races we go to our new all-time highs, which I do think will happen. I just think this has to be a bit of a process. And for those of you that are new to the market, I've lived through both bull and bear markets, two of them. And I've seen this all before, and the emotions that you're feeling now if you're holding Ethereum and a lot of your altcoins is probably not going to be too great, because they're going to get smashed when we move to the downside very violently like this. So just make sure that you're positioned on the right side of the market and holding the right coins. Those levels that we've just been speaking about are key low volume areas that we mention on the channel quite a lot of the time. So we've got our first low volume, somewhere coming in at around here at about $700-800, but we've got these voids over here which we might tap into some liquidity at about that $500 level. Some here about 700. So yeah, let's just keep an eye on that. These sort of low volume areas are just voids. So usually when you go into these big voids, price can collapse pretty quickly, because like we said, price is not willing to stay at those levels for very long. People don't want to do business, and there's usually heavy buyers or heavy sellers in those regions. Now, the only way that we can negate this, head and shoulders bearish movement and momentum to the downside, breaking some of these lows, okay, for me is going to be that the absolute most bullish case scenario is that we're creating higher lows and we do something immediate and then start to move up here. We'd have to take out this high over here at about $3,600 and maybe start to form some kind of ascending triangle. That's something to look out for potentially, but I think these are very unlikely given the market conditions. You need to know your place, okay, and how the market cycles work. I was telling you since January that when Cardano, Ethereum, all of these altcoins, they're not good coins to hold, and I think that there is further weakness in the market one way or another. And another way, maybe if by some miraculous chance is Ethereum manages to, hold this key zone here at about 1700, and we manage to basically tap into strong support here and Ethereum Bitcoin holds up, okay, then maybe we can just use this and form some kind of W pattern over the longer term and maybe reaccumulate. But like I said, I think that these scenarios are the least likely. I think that it's more likely that we break these levels, just in the same way that I've been talking about Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin does not hold its key levels, I see no reason for Ethereum to hold its key levels, in any stronger fashion than Bitcoin, and it's likely just going to fall harder. So just have those levels there that we spoke about to the downside. If you got some value from this video and you want to stay on the journey with me for where I'm buying and selling these cryptos, and I'll keep you up to date with them, go ahead and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all recent and relevant videos. And until the next one, I'll catch you next time.